Good morning. Good morning. How are we doing out there?
Good morning.
Morning.
Who's going to get us started with some goodness? Who's got some good vibes going? Put a smile on everybody's face. Let's get this Friday rocking. That good of a Friday for everybody. All right. All right. Come on. Somebody's got something. Share with the group. Holy moly, guys. We gotta do better with our gratitudes. I'm going awkward silence until somebody shares. Just so we all know. Come on. This is class participation. Don't sit in the back of the class. Raise your hand. Holy moly, Nicole. Let's go.
I'll chime in. We had a huge tree fall on our horse pasture fence and it managed to miss everything important. So we just have to clean it up, but we don't have to rebuild the fence.
Glass
so I
half
guess
full.
we can see a little positive there.
Yes. Glass half full. That's
Yes.
all we need. Put a smile on everybody's face. But we are Finance Friday, so I will I'll give a chance for Eric and Dan. Anything happened this week? I don't know if we want to talk rates. You want to talk about a deal that you put together? What do you guys have on the finance side to educate this group?
I'll jump in. It's Eric. So obviously, I have a thing I'm going back and forth with right now with a condo association. We always seem to always go back to talking about condos. I hate it, but we do. I had an association. It's actually in Rhode Island, but they filled the questionnaire out and they checked off, yes, there might be structural issues, because they're like, well, we think there is. And I was able to go, which causes an issue, because obviously Fannie Mae's like, well, if there's structural issues, why do we want to put money into this association on a loan? And went back and talked to the association. They're like, well, we don't really know. And I had to explain to them, listen, if you don't know, then the answer is no. The question asks, are there structural issues? And there's two boxes. There's a yes and there's a no. So if you don't know, because you haven't had a professional check it, then as of right now, the answer is no. So I think sometimes we just, we have to go back and we have to clarify what people, because they're just nervous about, what they're going to answer. And just, taking the time to go back and clarify with them, like, until an engineer goes in there and says that you do have an issue, the answer is no.
So, Eric, is this something where you guys get these questionnaires, you read through, you look at all the answers before you submit it, and you caught this before it went to underwriting or whoever it's going to go to, or did this go through and then it got kicked back?
No, we caught it beforehand. So
Okay.
my condo guy, he gets the questionnaire and he gives us a heads up, like, hey, this looks like it's an issue. Obviously, he can't catch everything. He's not perfect, but the ones that he's had happen to him that have kind of bit us in the butt, no other way to put it, he kind of knows, hey, let me show you this. And then we can get on the phone and talk to the association and be like, are you sure you're supposed to check off yes here? Are you 100%? Do you have
Right.
documentation from an engineer that there is an issue? Because if you don't, then just check off no, because you don't know yet.
Good. Awesome. Good share. Dan, you got anything, or does anybody have any questions?
Along the same line in condos right now, I mean, there are, a lot of intricacies that come along with these condo approvals sometimes. And, another one that I'm dealing with currently is regarding the master insurance policy for the association. In this particular case, there's, like a couple hundred units in this HOA, and Fannie Mae has an issue with the per unit deductible as part of and part of the replacement cost that goes into that. So we're working right now to try to find we're, on a couple alternatives, so we've been dealing with this one for a little over a week now, actually maybe like 2 weeks, where we have been working a couple different avenues at the same time, and I think we're close to resolving it now. But yeah, the condos get real tricky, and even if you have a good conventional buyer, like this particular buyer, she's putting down 10% and has perfect credit and no issues at all. She's like very well qualified to buy any house she wants. But when it comes to the condos, now we have this additional layer to it, that can sometimes cause unforeseen problems. Like, I mean, literally, if she were just buying a regular single family home, or a condo a condo that didn't have these issues, we would have already closed. So sometimes it can be definitely, I know, frustrating for everybody involved too. But sometimes they are unforeseen things, like this wasn't picked up on until we were able to get everything from the HOA, and this particular HOA was not easy to deal with. They made you, mail in a check, and then they filled out a form by hand to mail back to you. So sometimes there's those challenges that we are dealing with as well on that condo approval side of things.
Cool. Well, anybody have finance questions or questions about the condo questionnaires or anything condo related? Margaretta, what do you got?
Good morning. So I actually don't have a condo, but it's more about loan and insurance question. Do we want to finish with condos before?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have technically it's a residential property that the buyer and before closing, he's having a hard time getting an insurance, and the property's being run as a kind of like a rental per week Airbnb kind of situation, you could call it, I guess. And the insurance is denying it because they're saying it's a commercial thing. And I'm just like a little bit confused. Why is like, I mean, I get it's a business, but I guess I'm looking for any help on proceeding with this, because I mean, he's been denied a few times by commercial insurance policies. And is there a better way of going around this? How to proceed?
So what's the building? The actual
So
structure,
actually,
Margaretta? What is it?
it's an old Victorian in Westfield. That's what it is. It's
Single
single
family
family.
Victorian?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, it's run as a sober house, and I think even though the designation is sober house, but technically the bottom line is people living there as per week kind of rentals. So it's almost like you could consider it Airbnb. So I don't understand. I think the buyer himself is shooting himself in the foot by saying, "Oh, I have a sober house I need insurance for." Well, just because it's run by an entity within the house, there's a person managing it as an LLC. So I don't understand why there's such a hardship about getting insurance on something like this. I was wondering what would the lenders have to say about that. I guess is that something from lending perspective that's critical?
Well, so what type of loan is he trying to get, Margaretta?
So that is an investment loan, non-secured. We did go over that at one point, right?
I don't know if you guys want to chime in on the insurance piece on this one, or what you've seen.
Me personally, it sounds like he's giving them more information than they need to know. Like he's calling them up saying, "Hey, that's trying to insure a sober house." I would tell him, call an insurance company and say, "I'm buying a single family investment property as a rental.
Exactly.
I need insurance," and then stop talking.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking, but I just want to make sure, and I'm like, why are you just saying it's a sober house? And he's concerned about the liability around it. Well, what if something happens? Well, you have insurance. I mean, I don't think would the insurance care that it's run as a, I mean, I am getting so there is an insurance policy against the business, the LLC technically. I am getting a copy of that, but I don't see why this is so complicated, and it shouldn't be, I feel like. So you sounds like you have the same thoughts about it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And so, Margaretta, even if he was forthcoming with the information. I guess my question would be, you should still be able to get insurance. It might be more expensive. Are they completely denying altogether, or is it just, oh my God, I didn't want to spend this much?
No, he's being denied. And I'm like,
That
that
does,
doesn't make any
that doesn't make,
sense.
yeah, that, right? Like you should be able to get insurance for anything, right? It's just going to be, it might cost you a little bit more because there's some extra risk for the insurer.
I'm
So
almost wondering if he's getting cold feet and he doesn't want to pursue the sell. I mean, the buy, you know. So I have to dig into this because I just got this call yesterday. I'm like, this does not make any sense. So I'm glad the lenders are here to answer this as well, and everybody else. Thank you all.
yeah, and this is where we want to have a preferred providers, right? So Margareta, this should be a situation where you call your preferred insurance provider and you explain the situation just on the side. Hey, my guy's gone to his insurance people. I'm just wondering what your take is. Right. So on the side, we should be doing our own research when stuff like this is happening with our preferreds. Right. So if you know, no different than we would do with the mortgage guys, right? If somebody was being told, oh, I can't get a mortgage, or you don't qualify, you'd call your preferred, call Dan or Eric, and you say, hey, this is what they're telling my buyer. Could you guys look at the financials and tell me what you would recommend? Right. So no difference with the insurance. So
Who do
I
you
don't know
recommend for insurance people? I don't really have a preferred.
Our preferred is Dowd here in the greater Springfield area.
Got it.
And they do a lot of commercial actually. So they should be able to speak to this particular situation.
I'll give them a call. Thank you.
Yeah. You can message me after, Margaret, and I can get you their contact info.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a finance question? Lending, mortgage? All right, I took a quick look at the headlines. Nothing too crazy, but I did want to share something that I think you guys, as agents, should be aware of. So there was some sponsored content. So this wasn't necessarily something that happened yesterday, but Zillow put out I don't know what you want to call it, a summary after looking through, you know, I don't know if they just had AI kind of rip through all of their listings to kind of figure out what are the things that are starting to appear more in listing descriptions that we didn't used to see. So, you know, try and figure out, hey, these things seem to be popping up more. This is where we think things are trending because, you know, agents are starting to highlight it in the descriptions. So obviously as agents, we should know what's trending and kind of be aware of those things and be able to speak to them. So here were the five trends that they had found through scraping their listings for 2024. So number one was electric features. So home buyers are prioritizing environmental friendly features with notable surge mention of whole home batteries and solar panels on listings. So that mention of whole home battery. So I think like Tesla has this, I forget the name of it. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in or any. Does anybody have one of these full home batteries by Tesla or some other company? Does anybody know the name of what I'm talking about? There's a name for it, but basically, if you're not, especially if you're in a place where it's sunny, and the panels on your home are generating more electricity than you're using in your house, they get stored in these big battery packs. And so that was a 62% surge, and then solar panels are appearing 18% more in for sale listings. So sustainable green EV chargers in a home appearing 34% more on listings than a year ago today. So just making sure, you know, being aware of this stuff and making sure you're calling these things out in a listing description. The term cozy is no longer a negative real estate euphemism. It's a sought after design trait. So listings mentioning cozy have increased by 35% compared to last year. Nostalgic. So looks like 14% more listings than in 2023, while vintage mentions are up 9%. Climate resilience. Homeowners are prioritizing features that offer protection and sustainability. So the Zillow research finds that 86% of recent home buyers say it's very important that a home have at least one climate resilient feature. So flood barriers is up 22% compared to last year. Seismic retrofitting is up 20%. In reference to water catchment systems are up 19%. And the last thing that they found was spa-inspired wet rooms. So luxurious wet rooms inspired by high-end spas are elevating bathroom design. Wet rooms are being featured 19% more often in listings. So interesting stuff. I don't know if anybody else wants to just comment on things that you seem to be seeing more of or your buyers are wanting more of. Anything that didn't make their list?
What's a
Margareta?
wet room? What's a wet room?
They're like a spa, so you've got you might have a hot tub, you might have a sauna, so those types of things. All right, and let's open it up just general real estate. Anybody have anything weird going on one of their transactions or something you learned in doing your deals? Everybody have their coffee this morning? Holy moly.
Everybody saving their energy for the holiday party tonight?
I don't know. Quiet group. Let me share something else that I came across. If you're not following kind of the negotiation stuff, if you don't follow somebody regarding negotiations, I really think you're missing out. There's a lot of obviously classes on this stuff, but just starting to get into your dialogue, different little things when it comes to negotiation, and understanding how conversations can go can really, level your game up. It could be the difference on a 5-minute phone call of whether you get them to meet with you or do a buyer's presentation or see a house versus not. So it's really critical that we nail these skills. And one of the best in the business at this is Chris Voss. So I wanted to share, if you have time here, maybe a couple of different things from Chris that I think critical. If I can get this up for you.
Stop responding for 2 reasons. The first one really is they're not being listened to. Nobody stops talking to someone who's listening to them. You get on the phone and all you try to get them to do is say yes to everything. You don't want to hear what's after the yes. And you've taught them that talking to you is a waste of their time because they're never listened to. Problem 2, on their end, they are losing their ability to get things done.
So what's the text? What's the voicemail? What's the email?
2-stage process. 1-line text. Have you given up on working with me? They are going to respond somewhere between 3 and 30 minutes from sending it. Sit there and wait because the answer's coming back. But then you have to stop pitching. Summarize the situation from their perspective. It takes you back from they're thinking you don't understand to now, I'm not saying I understand, I'm showing you. If they're done with you, you can't change that. But if this is within reach, you have to show them you understand and you have to put them back in control. People stop responding for 2.
What do we think? Have you given up on working with me? Doesn't that just put the cards on the table? Right? I mean, how many of you guys have leads? You haven't gotten them to respond, or they were responding and now they're not. And you just kind of want to know where are we at in this relationship? We on every Thursday, we do a pipeline review with that Lauren runs for us. And, it seems like, I don't care how experienced you are, and Lauren, maybe I'll let you talk to this. Most agents need to be on that Thursday call. Because most agents don't seem to have the skills when it comes to working an online lead to get to that final piece of they actually got to the bottom of every lead. And this is absolutely a skill. You need to have these little texts, these little emails, these little bait pieces that you can throw out there to get people to engage. This was a new one that I hadn't heard of, but at some point we need to know, and one phone call and one text message just isn't enough. And I think we're coming out of a market that we've been out of it for a while now, where the leads just kept flowing in, and we were used to there'll just be another lead tomorrow. And when we've really started to dive deep, I mean, if you've got 50 leads in your system, you don't need any more leads. You need the skill set to be able to get those leads to respond to you. Amber, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to say this video resonated because I was thinking it kind of applies to the theory of there's nowhere to go. Once you hit the bottom, there's nowhere to go from up. So pretty much he's just saying, okay, what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is you're no longer going to work with me. So you might as well just start there and just say, hey, are you going to keep working with me? And then work up from there. So if they aren't, you already are at your worst case scenario. And then if they are, there's nothing but better from there.
Yeah, right. And I don't even think it's got to be over if they say yes. Right? Is there a lesson learned? Hey, what was it about? Right? It could just be that, you know what, we've decided to wait a year. Right? So in their mind, that's I've given working with you, but in your mind, you're like, okay, great, that's a 2026 lead. But we need to know. Right? We've got to stay in dialogue with these people. They're humans on the other side of this, for the most part. They're real live people. Right? And your job is to get them to engage, listen to what their needs are, and try and solve a problem. Not to jam a house sale down their throat, but to just listen. Lauren, what'd you have?
Yeah, so I was just going to speak to our CRM training. So I always start when I have somebody sharing, tell me about this lead, right? As I'm kind of scanning the screen.
And hey, Lauren, I want to back up and just so everybody understands, so that I don't think everybody's been on your call that's on this call, right? So Lauren, when you get on this Thursday call, it's a super collaborative, super like, let's just build your skill set. We're not putting anybody down, but we want you to open up your CRM and show us your last 10 leads. And Lauren's going to take a look at them. And then she's going to make suggestions. Hey, I see that you called and texted once. Why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? Let's send this, right? And then your job is to see what's working, to try those things, to come back the following week and then kind of report back, hey, this worked, this didn't, right? You'll get to see what other people are doing in their CRM and what's working for them. So just wanted to lay the groundwork a little bit, because I don't think it matters how experienced you are. Working a CRM is a skill. And I don't necessarily know that the top agents have that skill. I think a lot of top agents, they're good people. They might be good negotiators, but being a good CRM master, that's a completely different skill set. And I know tons of top producers that's not their skill set. And maybe it never will be, but if you want it to be, it's definitely a learnable skill. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're fine. So you're so right in all of that. And especially the learning from others. Because one thing I've noticed is while we're only looking at one person's screen, one person's prospects at a time, I have many other people say, hey, I was following along. I wasn't doing that on my leads. So I'm trying to do that as you're showing it on somebody else's, right? We are building those skills. Hey, how could we reach out here? Oftentimes we're running into especially something where we have people in the wrong stages. And our mindset for what a stage should be for somebody is not how we're best going to utilize it within our systems that we have. And when we have people in these proper stages with proper plans for follow-up set in there, then what we can do is really organize our work when we sit down to work. We're pre-setting our prospecting for the next time we go in there. I don't have to go and I don't have to sort and I don't have to look for who I'm reaching out to, because I now have them properly sorted. So I need to reach out to my hots, my warms, my showing homes, my actual nurtures. It just makes actual prospecting so much better to do while we're doing it.
Anybody been on this Thursday call and just kind of want to share what the experience has been like? Because I really think it's not something you just come once. Like if you've got leads in your system that you know you're not following up with properly, this is a must training weekly to learn the skill set of how to work that CRM. So is there anybody on that just would want to speak to it that, hey, I've been attending or I used to attend? And Steve.
Yeah, so I just started the Thursday meetings probably about a month ago, and it got me from 0 to up to speed. I mean, just from clearing out why priorities and, like Lauren said, having everything in order. And even if every single week there's a few new people that we see on their screen, and there's always something that you learn. So every single week for probably 5 straight weeks now, I'm learning something new so that I can get all my my sphere, my leads all up to date, get organized. It's invaluable because without that, I mean, there's just so many little features and buttons that you just don't know about until you see it firsthand on the screen, and then you can go in and you can put the time frame on all the people that don't have one, and it's just a great training because it keeps everything clean, up to date. So I plan on being on it for forever if I can.
Awesome. We will send you your gift card after the call, Steve. Deborah.
Good morning. You have to excuse my voice this morning. I had a little cold. Anyway, so I jumped on there yesterday for the first time, actually. And I've been doing this since May, and I actually learned a couple of new tidbits yesterday. So I was very thankful to Lauren for allowing me to share my screen. And then we kind of went through a few things, and it was great. And I actually learned a couple of new things. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I love about what you said is she allowed me to share my screen, right? This isn't an interrogation of, look, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, what are you doing? Right? This is hey, Deborah, here's a couple of ideas. Let's try them and let's report back next week on how that went. That's all it is.
That's
right?
exactly how it was.
Super collaborative, Anybody else want to chime in? All right. Well, I would Martin, go ahead, buddy. You can wrap it up.
With Lauren, it's very hands-on. So if you're not one of those people that learns by, I don't know, looking at videos and stuff like that, very hands-on, and it makes it much easier to understand, because I was new to the whole CRM thing, and she made it more, it's easier to understand what you're doing and what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right.
And Martin, how long have you been licensed?
15 years.
15 years. Right. So these are the things, guys, that you just need to be vulnerable and say, you know what? Yeah, I've been licensed for 15 years, but I don't know everything. Just be honest with yourself. Hey, this isn't a skill that I have right now. They've got a training that can help me to level this thing up. Don't get caught up in, hey, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know what I'm doing. Attend a couple of calls, see if you do know what you're doing. And if you do, great, right? So just like getting that second opinion on your financing. The worst case scenario is you show up to Lauren's call and go, yep, I knew about all those buttons. I knew about all those text messages. I knew about all those follow-up plans. I knew about all of these different ways to send properties. I'm good. That's the worst case scenario. And the best case scenario is you pick up 2 or 3 strategies that are going to help you. If you guys each have 50 leads in your system and you can increase your conversion rate by 10%, let's say, which is not a big conversion rate, right? A 10% increase. That's 5 extra transactions in 2025. 5. And that's just with the 50 you have in your system now. So like the CRM stuff, as much as I'm, a proponent of, 2025 moving forward, we got to build our personal brands. Right up there with the most important thing is I think the agent of the future has to be a CRM master. And let me tell you, this is not just for leads. If you're a top producer, and we've got some on the call, right? that has hundreds of past clients, you need a CRM to be able to manage those past clients, to get referrals out of those people, to make sure you're staying in touch with those people, to run a report that says, hey, show me my people that I haven't talked to in the last 90 days. Maybe I need to call them. Maybe I need to see if they need a real estate resource. Maybe I need to see if they're changing something about their house. Something's changed in their lives. Somebody within their lives has something going on. Right? So the CRM mastery is not just for leads. This is the future of the business, right? It's awesome agents, great people, but it's definitely tech forward. And I love the fact that, Martin, you can get on here and be vulnerable and say, you know what, I wasn't good at this, but man, I mean, so how many times have you been on that call, Martin? You're muted if you're trying to go. My point with asking them that is, I don't think it's going to take very many sessions for most of you. Right? I mean, if you're brand new, you're Steve, and you got a lot to learn, right? Maybe it's going to take a while. But for a lot of you guys, I think it's just a little tune-up, right? Go every week for, it's a little bit slower, right? This time of year, the next 6 to 8 weeks. But man, the next 6 to 8 weeks, you should be using this to build up your pipe, going through your leads. If you're not out showing houses, you should be in your CRM trying to talk to people or out trying to meet new people. So thank you, Lauren. I think it's one of the best trainings that we do. Appreciate you and your dedication to running that call. I think it's one of the best things that agents can do to level up in 2025. Let us just finish up with take a peek at the trainings. So let's see what we got on the docket today. Light day on the training is only 3. So we've got the real estate mastery. Each week is a discussion topic focused on developing the skills to master your craft. Pretty vague. Agent attraction. So this is something, if you're absolutely loving the Real brand and other agents would enjoy the Real brand, this will just talk to you a little bit about how to do that. And what are they running this twice? Oh, this is a different person. This is Antoine Thomas. Real estate sales mastery workshop. Hone your skills and build lasting trust. So a couple of different opportunities to build some sales skills today. Maybe you check out both of these guys, see if you kind of vibe with one of them more than the other. But taking a training a day, guys, probably makes some sense. Try some of these things. Just like attending Lauren's class, the worst case is you attend and go, I'm good. I know all this stuff. And the best case is you pick up 2 or 3 things that increase your conversions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10%. And with the same amount of time and energy, you do that much more business. So please take the time to train. Have yourselves an awesome weekend. Let's come back on Monday with some items to share, some lessons learned, and let's have a great weekend. All right. We'll talk to you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.